Hi guys, Lewis here. For those who don't know, I'm Senior Division World Finalist, and I just got top 4 in a 272 player online Japanese grassroots tournament with a team featuring Floette, Whimsicott, Typhlosion Usui, Sneasler, Garchomp, and Basculegion. The main idea of the team is to synergize Floette's Fairy Aura with Moonblast from Whimsicott, allowing for both to threaten high amount of damage and even KOs after initial setup of Tailwind, or to just damage trade before Tailwind is set up. Now this is where the rest of the team comes in for a solid hyper-offensive core. As Fairy is resisted by Poison, Fire, and Steel, the remaining 4 Pokemon need to be able to offensively threaten these types, which is how Garchomp, Sneasler, Typhlosion, and Basculegion managed to fit on the team, with Garchomp being able to threaten all 3 of these types, Sneasler and Typhlosion being able to threaten Steel, and Basculegion being able to threaten Fire. With the combination of all these Pokemon, all the types that Fairies would otherwise struggle against are now covered for. Now let's take a closer look at each individual Pokemon. I want to first talk about Floette, the main carry of the team. The moveset I ended up using was Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Calm Mind, and Protect, as I believe this gave me the most options. However, you could also try Light of Ruin over Calm Mind, but initially, when I ended up bringing this team to the tournament, I thought that Calm Mind was the better decision, but looking more into it, maybe Light of Ruin could be better, as it allows to set up KOs into more bulkier Pokemon, like a King Gambit, straight away. Now, let's look at its EV spread. I chose to make Floette more bulky with Modest as a way to effectively demonstrate, with an important calc is that it guaranteed lives Fake Out into a Direct Claw from a Jolly Sneasler, letting you play more aggressively when Sneasler is on the field. However, if they are adamant, it's approximately a 50% chance that they will take you out. The 1 point in speed is purely to punish other bulky Floettes that greed the extra stat point in either bulk or special attack. Next is Whimsicott, and the moveset I ended up using was Moonblast, Sunny Day, Tailwind, and Protect. Sunny Day is particularly interesting, as it completely flips the Rain matchup, which currently is quite popular, but is slowly declining in its popularity. The main advantage of this move, however, is when paired with Typhlosion to boost its damage. I also encourage you to experiment with this moveset, as after playing with the team more, I believe having a move such as Encore would also allow for more opportunities to create traps. Now for the spread, I once again chose to make Whims more bulky with max HP and 23 stat points into special attack, 2 points in Spadef, and 9 into speed, alongside the modest nature. The main idea with the spread was to give a good chance to live dual wing beat from max attack Jolly Aerodactyl, with only having a 0.4% chance to KO Whims, as well as a guaranteed chance to live from dual wing beat from Talonflame. If a Talonflame is Shark Beak, however, it's able to OHKO the Whims about 57% of the time. Despite the investment into bulk, I still gave it a sash, in order to live stronger attacks such as a Sludge Bomb from a Mega Yengar, or even a Diaclaw from a Sneasler. With the investment in offense, it's able to do a considerable amount of damage with Moonblast, and in Fairy Aura, it's able to deal 60% to a 0 bulk Sneasler. However, something much more relevant is its damage into an Incineroar, dealing upwards of 50% with Fairy Aura against a max HP Incineroar. With a combination of a Dazzling Gleam or a Moonblast from Floette, a double up can practically take out any non-resisted target. I would also suggest that you change Whimsicott's 2 special defense over 2 defense to increase its chance to live from dual wing beats, from Aerodactyls, and Talonflames. Typhlosion Hisui is one of the least used good fire types in the format, with competition from Incineroar, Charizard, and even Delphox. The advantages of Typhlosion, however, is that it's an offensive threat that doesn't take up your Mega slot, has reliable burst, and has the ability Frisk, which is perfect for a closed team sheet environment, which this was. Just knowing if a Sneasler has Sash or Mental Herb can impact the entire plan for a game. Outside of the knowledge you can gain with Typhlosion, it is also a ghost type, making it immune to Fake Out, resulting in it being very hard to position against once behind, or to stop it trading damage in the first place. I ended up using the moves Eruption, Flamethrower, Shareable, and Protect. The spread on this mon is nothing special. I ended up going max speed and max special attack, and dumping the remaining stats into HP. The main use of this mon is to either finish KOs set up by other Pokemon, or to set them up. allowing other Pokemon to get the finishing attack. The main matchup that Typhlosion is brought against is Rain, where you can set up the Sun and then Eruption, as well as any matchup with little to no fire resist. One of the strongest Pokemon in the format is Sneasler, being able to outspeed most Pokemon, as well as deal high damage, and neutralize board states with Fake Out, as well as being able to single-handedly flip a game on its head. It becomes the perfect addition to the team. I ended up going with the moveset of Close Combat, Diaclaw, Fake Out, and Protect, with the item Mental Herb. Mental Herb on Sneasler is great when against Incin, as it allows it to keep the pressure up while also ignoring a drop in its stats from Close Combat, and also doubling its speed with the combination of its ability, Unburden. Sneasler is great at dealing large amounts of single target damage to secure a KO on an already chipped mon, as well as just KO some mons, including Incineroar and Kingambit outright, which are both high priority targets. With Incineroar allowing for an opponent to reposition, and Kingambit being able to put pressure on your ghost types, as well as chip Pokemon that damage trade early in the game. Now it's Garchomp. Garchomp's main draw is that it outspeeds Charizard as well as Glimmora, two megas that Floette struggles to deal damage against. It's also able to hit Steel, Fire, and Poison with a Stomping Tantrum. The moveset I ended up going with was Stomping Tantrum, Rock Slide, Earthquake, and Protect, with the held item of Soft Sand to boost its ground type moves. While I don't have a ground immunity on my team, I still value having Earthquake on Garchomp, as there are a number of times in an endgame that you need to hit both targets. Sometimes you Earthquake your Whimsicott that doesn't care that much, or Earthquake next to a Protect. I went to a simple set of 2 HP, 32 attack, and 32 speed with a Jolly Nature, as it's important to outspeed all base hundreds as well as Glimmora, and give a chance to win a speed tie in the mirror. I have, however, looked into adding some bulk on Garchomp to help it live against timid Floettes, which would otherwise speed tie it, as well as general bulk for Sneasler's close combats, so just that if you want to change or improve the spreads at all, to look first into increasing its bulk but keeping its speed stat. The last Pokemon on the team is Basculegion. This is one of the few Pokemon that didn't get impacted with the loss of items. With it still being able to use a Choice Scarf, it becomes one of the strongest Pokemon in the game at single target damage in the endgame. I went with the movesets of Wave Crash, Last Respects, Aqua Jet, and Flip Turn with the item Choice Scarf. Basculegion's strength is that it's able to outspeed Sneasler and threaten an Oko onto it, which would otherwise threaten Floette. It's also able to threaten a KO on practically any mon that's chipped, and is a great revenge killer once a mon goes down. The EV spread is quite simple, but it's vital. With 2 HP, 32 in both attack and speed, with the speed being very crucial in Basque Mirrors and allowing it to outspeed Sneasler. I opted to go with Adamant Nature, but I could also see the value in going Jolly to outspeed Pokemon like Bay Gengar and Delphox, while also gaining an edge in the Basque Mirror. Okay, so now you know a bit about the team and what each Pokemon does, however you don't really know what leads you should be prioritizing. A few of the strongest leads that I would first consider in a match are Floette Whims, Typhlosion Whims, Sneasler Garchomp, and Sneasler Basque. While this is not all of the leads, these are definitely some of the most common that you should think about first. The goal with Floette Whims is to take advantage of Whim's Tailwind as well as Floette's Fairy Aura to set up damage combos. Examples of the standard trade would be to Tailwind then Moonblast with Floette, to put something in range of a Dazzle from Floette next turn, while also making sure the other Pokemon is in range of a Dazzle from Floette and a Moonblast from Whims, allowing for a high pressure turn for you in the future. Another way to play the lead is to just protect Floette as you Mega, and then use Moonblast with Whims if they have little to no threat against it, in order for you to set up a Tailwind Moonblast or a Dazzling Gleam next turn. A common lead your opponent can respond with is Aerodactyl Floette in response to Floette Whims. In this position, however, you can threaten Dazzling Gleam plus Tailwind, as well as a Moonblast plus Dazzle into Aerodactyl. However, this allows you to get an extra 1 or 2 turns of Tailwind depending on what they bring in to replace it, as you are able to Tailwind at any moment thanks to Whimsicott's ability. Alternatively, if you believe they're going to protect Aerodactyl and you Tailwind, you are then able to Tailwind and Dazzling Gleam, and then the next turn you are able to Dazzling Gleam, and Moonblast for Aerodactyl, stopping them from getting Tailwind up entirely. The next lead is Typhlosion Whims, which is another common lead, with the main idea of the lead being Typhlosion threatens high amounts of damage and setting Tailwind. Most cases, Typhlosion will get traded for an Eruption, but this is usually fine as you'll be able to get set Tailwind as well, which allows you to bring in Floette next to Whimsicott in Tailwind to continue the pressure, resulting in a large positional advantage for a resource disadvantage. This lead is also particularly important when against rain, as you are able to set up Sun and deal large amounts of damage with Eruption. Typhlosion can also be used against some variants of Sun by taking advantage of your opponent setting up to Sun, and then utilizing Tailwind to start the sweep. Next is Sneasler Garchomp. In some matchups, that Whims is not as valuable, either because most of your Pokemon already outspeed, or it's a matchup where speed is not as relevant. Then it's about setting up Basque for an endgame, in which Basque is the main carry at closing out a game, in which it's all about trying to position Basque and trade key Pokemon. As Sneasler and Garchomp are quite fast, they are able to double target and take out a threat before it's able to act. And even if your opponent trades back with their other Pokemon, this lets you bring in Basque, once again for a favorable trade. The last lead I'm going to talk about is Basque Sneasler. The idea behind Basque Legion and Sneasler is quite similar to Sneasler Garchomp, with the idea of positioning Basque in order to apply pressure. However, Basque is applying the pressure on turn 1 with this lead. While having both Sneasler and Basque on lead, you're able to threaten a double up into a target, a fake out plus an attack with Basque, or just a flip turn and attack, protect, or fake out from Sneasler. The choice you make will be different depending on what you are against, but all of these options make the league quite powerful. With this team, I was able to get top 4 in the Teru Challenge, top 100 in the Warm-Up Challenge, as well as reach champions in Ranked. Once again, here is the team for you to check out, and if you found the video helpful in any way, please subscribe to the channel and like the video, as well as tell me your thoughts about the team in the comments. I also plan to make more content around champions and may end up doing some streams in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.